Hello guys, I'm Tom, and today we'll find out who Diana Walter is. One of the most interesting, terrifying, and, to some extent, original monstrous characters or villains in modern horror cinema is Diana Walter, from the 2016 film Lights Out. This is a fantastic horror story about a grotesque entity that can only manifest and attack in total darkness, and in a rather sinister way, we learn that she was once human. Due to her interesting and somewhat tragic origins, her immense power, her incredible abilities, as well as her malevolent personality, Diana is considered one of the coolest and most memorable terrifying entities in 2016 films and one of the most iconic of that time. That's why in this video, I'll explain in detail the origin story of Diana in Lights Out. I'll go over her physical appearance, what we know about her personality and behavior, her incredible abilities, and known weaknesses. Later, I'll also talk about the production of the film and the original short film that inspired this entertaining movie. Diana Walter, better known simply as Diana, is a malevolent entity and the main antagonist of the 2016 film Lights Out. Diana was originally a normal human girl, diagnosed with a rare skin condition that caused her to be intolerant to light. After she accidentally died during an experiment gone wrong, she became a kind of vengeful ghost who kills all of her victims and enemies in total darkness. Diana Walter was born in 1971, or at least that is the information available regarding her origins, as she is surrounded by much mystery. A newspaper article mentions that, although she had parents, it was actually believed that she was adopted. According to this article, which briefly appears in the movie, it's not really known where she came from, and very few details about her childhood are available. Since Diana was little, many noticed not only that she had a strange sensitivity to light, but also that she displayed a somewhat evil attitude. People said Diana could get into their minds and torment them psychologically. Because of this, some fans of the movie have theorized that Diana's biological parents died when she entered their minds and began tormenting them. She was later adopted by another family, where this behavior repeated itself with her father. I will explain this in more detail later. At 13 years old, Diana was found in the basement of her home, locked up with the body of her father, who was dead and had left a message stating that Diana had gotten into his mind. For this reason, on October 6, 1984, Diana was admitted to the Mulberry Hill Psychiatric Hospital. There, after evaluating her, the doctors determined she needed heliotherapy, a treatment that uses exposure to a full spectrum of light to alleviate the symptoms of certain skin conditions, such as psoriasis and dermatitis. This is what can be seen in the photos from the institution that Rebecca finds in the film. Diana's story is very interesting and essentially begins when she was 13 years old. She was admitted to a psychiatric hospital after manipulating her father into taking his own life. In the hospital, she was diagnosed with a rare skin disease that prevented her from being exposed to light. Her violent and psychopathic tendencies intensified while she was hospitalized, possibly due to the isolation and mistreatment by doctors and staff. At this hospital, Diana became friends with a young woman named Sophie. However, Rebecca, Sophie's daughter, theorizes that Diana was never really friends with her mother. Rather, she manipulated Sophie into believing they were good friends, only to later exploit the situation to her advantage. During her stay in the psychiatric hospital, Diana had several problems due to her violent behavior towards nurses, doctors, and other patients. Her first attack on another person occurred on February 9th, 1985, when she assaulted another patient and broke their radius, which is one of the bones in the arm. Then, another incident occurred where Diana severely injured a patient and also horribly fractured the person's arms, breaking their radius. The third attack she carried out resulted in a large lateral wound or incision on another person. By June 5th, 1989, she carried out another attack and caused a tremendous injury to another patient, fracturing their ribs and leaving them severely injured. According to additional material from the film, There were at least 10 to 13 more attacks by Diana on other patients at the hospital, ranging from deep scratches to bites, punches, bruises, and broken bones. Many of her victims required stitches and minor surgeries to recover, which made it clear to all the doctors how dangerous Diana was. Eventually, at the psychiatric hospital, Diana met Sophie, a patient who also participated in the heliotherapy sessions, as she suffered from some sort of mental illness that was later revealed to be severe depression. While Sophie improved with her treatments, she was also attacked by Diana, who punched her supposed friend and brutally crushed her hand's fingers, almost fracturing them and causing her great pain. Interestingly, when the doctors asked Diana why she had done that, she confessed that it was because Sophie was improving and she didn't want her to leave, as if Sophie got better, she would be discharged from the hospital. Eventually, some doctors, fascinated by Diana's strange condition, began searching for a cure for the young girl. However, they also conducted very dangerous experiments on her with the goal of finding a solution for her unusual disease. In addition, they carried out various studies to better understand what was happening to her and why she had that strange condition in her pale skin. Unfortunately, one day, while experimenting on Diana, the procedure went terribly wrong, and she was brutally burned, turning to ashes because she was exposed to an extremely powerful light. Interestingly, Diana's life didn't end completely. It was then that she transformed into a vengeful and malevolent spirit that clung to her friend Sophie, becoming a part of her, almost like a parasitic identity. Something interesting is that Diana's spirit only manifested when Sophie stopped taking her psychiatric medications for a period. This led the doctors and many people to believe that Sophie saw her friend Diana as some kind of hallucination or as a side effect of not following her treatment. The entity killed anyone who tried to be with Sophie or help her, as in a twisted way, it seems that Diana wanted to protect her friend. Several years after Diana's death, Sophie left the psychiatric hospital, although it is implied that she continued to suffer from some depression. It was then that she married a man named Paul, who one night was working in a mannequin store. Martin, Paul's son, was talking on the phone with his father, informing him about one of the traumatic episodes Sophie had suffered. However, Diana appeared to him at work, and although one of the employees of the textile factory warned him about the malevolent presence in the place, Paul was unable to escape in the darkness and was brutally and unexpectedly killed by Diana. Throughout the film, it is revealed that Paul was Sophie's second husband, as her first husband, with whom she had her daughter Rebecca, was killed by Diana's spirit. This happened when the man was trying to stabilize his wife while she was going through some sort of psychological attack or episode. We are also shown that Diana manipulated Sophie into believing that her husband didn't love her, thus isolating her and leaving her alone with her daughter. Throughout the movie, Rebecca and Martin, Sophie's children, try to free their mother from the power of that evil spirit. However, their attempts fail, which triggers Diana's wrath. Initially, Diana begins to manifest as a conscious shadow that brutally attacks her victims and enemies, and she can only be temporarily dissipated with light. For this reason, the two young people tried to keep all the lights in their house on at all times. Tragically for them, a power outage or short circuit occurs due to having everything on, which forces the siblings to go down to the basement to restart the generator. It is at this moment when Diana finds them in the basement, and while she tries to kill Brett, Rebecca's boyfriend, the young man realizes what is happening and manages to successfully escape from the dangerous apparition. During these moments, Sophie begins to search for her children, worried, and comes face to face with Diana. Sophie confronts her and asks her not to harm her children, as they don't know much and don't really want to hurt her. However, because of these comments, Diana becomes enraged and threatens Sophie in a sinister and chilling manner. This triggers an argument between the two, as Sophie gets angry and demands that Diana never threaten her again. The confrontation enrages Diana even more, who, displaying a childish and adolescent personality, throws a sort of tantrum while Sophie tries to take her medicine. However, Diana manages to knock Sophie out momentarily, preventing her from taking her medication. On the other hand, Brett contacts the police after escaping and informs them that a large domestic disturbance is occurring at his girlfriend's mother's house. Unfortunately, the two police officers sent to the house were not prepared to confront an evil spirit. Although they managed to successfully free Rebecca and Martin from the basement, both officers are brutally killed by Diana. After this, the entity also attempts to kill Sophie's two children. When the woman regains consciousness, she realizes Diana's intentions and warns her once again not to harm her children, or if she does, she will pay the price. It is then that Rebecca reveals to her mother that Diana confessed she was the one who killed her biological father and her first husband. This enrages Sophie, who shoots Diana with one of the police officer's guns. However, the weapon does no harm to the entity, and Diana mocks Sophie in a macabre way, telling her that it doesn't affect her at all. After this, Sophie dies, but before her death, she tells Diana that if it weren't for her, she wouldn't be able to exist in the physical world. After saying this, Sophie uses the gun to take her own life, causing Diana to destroy herself and disappear permanently, supposedly ending her story. However, when an ambulance arrives at the house to attend to the young ones, a final scene is shown where Brett is comforting Rebecca and Martin over the recent death of their mother. Disturbingly, the ambulance lights begin to flicker. However, Brett reassures the young ones, assuring them that Diana is definitely dead and won't return. An interesting fact is that the original ending of the movie was very different from the one we saw in theaters. In that version, although Sophie sacrificed herself to save her children, this didn't work to destroy Diana. Due to the death of their mother, Martin began to suffer from depression, which allowed Diana to manifest one last time before finally being destroyed for good. Director David Sandberg commented that test audiences hated this ending because they felt Sophie's sacrifice was in vain. They also considered that this conclusion was not happy enough. For this reason, the director decided to change it and shoot a more conclusive ending. Interestingly, in July 2016, Warner Brothers and New Line Cinema approved the production of a sequel to the film. This suggests that the flickering of the ambulance lights is a sign that Diana didn't really die and is still active as an evil entity, seeking to end the lives of Martin, Rebecca, and possibly Brett as well. However, not much news has been received about this project. It seems that due to the purchase of Warner Brothers by Discovery, this project was left in limbo or possibly even canceled, despite the original movie having a very successful box office revenue. Now that we've thoroughly covered the story and origins of Diana Walter, I want to talk about her physical appearance, what we know about her personality and behavior, as well as the incredible abilities and powers this entity possesses, along with her weaknesses. After her physical death, having merged with Sophie's mind, Diana continued to exist. It is explained that as long as Sophie lived, Diana had the power to manifest at will in the world of the living or the physical world. Diana could physically manifest as long as there was no light. This trait was inherited from when she was alive, as it seems that light, while not killing her, does burn and injure her considerably. Interestingly, Diana is no longer limited to being near Sophie to manifest, and can appear anywhere she chooses as long as Sophie isn't taking her special medication. In addition to these abilities, we can see that Diana is a being with superhuman strength, capable of killing people with just her hands without much effort, and she can also subdue anyone who gets in her way. Moreover, she can now resist any physical attack made against her, and can only be temporarily harmed by bright lights. There is a scene in the movie where the young ones trapped in the basement see Diana with ultraviolet light, and although they point it at her, Diana doesn't seem to suffer any damage, as this black light doesn't affect her at all. Another important ability she inherited from when she was alive is her incredible manipulation skills and advanced intelligence. When she appears and speaks with Sophie, she continues to manipulate her supposed friend completely. It's believed that, in addition to these abilities, Diana cannot truly be destroyed. Some fans have theorized that, although Sophie died, Diana is still alive and managed to attach herself to the minds of Rebecca, Martin, or Brett. However, cleverly, she decided not to manifest in the ambulance at the end of the movie because she had already caused enough damage. The only weaknesses this entity has are that light damages and hurts her, as I mentioned earlier. Additionally, some psychiatric medications, such as antidepressants, seem to keep Diana dormant or simply stop her from projecting herself into the physical world. Diana's physical appearance is quite chilling. She is always shown only as the silhouette of a woman in the darkness. Only in one of the scenes can we see her clearly, and that's when Rebecca points the ultraviolet light at her. That's when we realize that Diana resembles some sort of zombie, with white eyes and very damaged skin due to the burn she sustained when she died. Her skin looks pale and deteriorated, her hair is long and black, and overall, her appearance is terrifying. Director David Sandberg commented that he wanted to keep this original concept and didn't want to modify it. That's why he left Diana as a silhouette and a terrifying shadow. Although this became a challenge for the special effects team, in the end, all the effort paid off because, in the film, Diana looks truly terrifying and ghostly. Initially, Diana was going to be a demonic presence, but producer James Wan suggested it was better to turn her into a ghost with self-awareness and well-established, sinister motivations. This gave her a solid backstory and a past that the audience could better connect with, as we see everything from Sophie's and her children's point of view. Many fans of the film think that Diana represents Sophie's depression in physical form, as she always manifests when Sophie suffers from strong psychological attacks or episodes. However, although Sophie manages to recover from these episodes, Diana always remains with her in her mind. Director David Sandberg's original short film is quite interesting. In it, we follow a woman who seems to be getting ready to go to sleep. Terrifyingly, when she turns off the light, the ghostly silhouette of a woman appears in her hallway, confusing and scaring her. She tapes the light switch to keep it from turning off and decides to sleep anyway. Later, she hears loud noises and the light goes out. Then, she hears footsteps entering her room. The ghostly or demonic entity starts tormenting her while she's in her bed. Terrified, she covers herself with the blankets. Bravely, she manages to stop the lamp's light from going out, but when she uncovers and turns to look at the lamp, the malevolent entity directly appears, turns off the light, and presumably ends the protagonist's life. The use of light and how the entity appears in the dark was something director David Sandberg put a lot of effort into, and in the end, it was a success, catching the attention of producer and director James Wan. It's important to mention that the director made a feature film with a lot of symbolism, where Diana, according to him, can represent different things, such as mental illnesses. These, although many times invisible because they are in the dark, can still torment some people. The story of this movie is very interesting and similar to the short film. David and his wife created that short for a contest, and although they didn't win, it went viral on YouTube. This caught the attention of producer Lawrence Gray, who collaborated with David Sandberg and James Wan to make a full-length film based on the concept of the short. Initially, James Wan thought that, although the short was excellent and entertaining, it couldn't be turned into a full movie. However, David Sandberg managed to convince him, and they ultimately made the film with these producers. The truth is that the short film is very interesting and terrifying. Well, this is everything we know about Diana Walter from the movie Lights Out. Honestly, the concept of a ghost that can only attack its victims in the dark seemed very original, cool, and interesting to me. It's somewhat similar to the dark presence in the video game Alan Wake or Matilda Dixon from the movie Darkness Falls, but I think we had never seen this concept in this way in cinema. I love the way director David applied it in the movie. I also really liked Diana's story, especially because, upon becoming a ghost, she maintained her manipulative and evil personality. Honestly, I think the movie is good overall and different from modern horror films. However, if they ever make a sequel, I hope it doesn't lose the terrifying and original essence of the movie and the initial short film. I really liked Diana Walter's appearance and design as a ghost, as it seemed very chilling and unique, blending perfectly with the darkness and shadows. But let me know your opinion in the comments. Did you already know Diana Walter from Lights Out? Did you know her story and origins? How do you see Diana? Do you consider her a tragic villain or a villain who has always been evil? And finally, do you think Diana truly died at the end of the movie? Or do you think she's still alive? Comment below your answers and general opinion about Diana from Lights Out. As always, thank you so much for watching this video. I truly appreciate it. If you liked it, give it a like and share it to support the channel. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of my new videos.